Open Xaereth style. Whoop, 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 whoop. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Xaereth Prevails. Today I want to talk about 3v3 and playing it the Xaereth way, which I realize that sounds real egotistical. I don't really care if you call it that, but here's the thing. We've been talking about 3v3 a lot, and I make no apologies. I love 3v3. I love GAC in general. We got to get ready for this because we need crystals and everything. Even for those of you who don't like GAC and play it grudgingly because you need the crystal payouts, I get it. And here's the thing. I want to make 3v3 more enjoyable for most of you. I mean, a lot of you understand a lot of the principles anyways, but I want to talk about the misery the 3v3 can kind of spread, that it feels. I mean, it's different, it's uncomfortable and everything, and some people hate it, and I doubt that I'm going to convince anyone to just love 3v3. Like, yay, get excited for this thing you hate. I'm not, it's not my goal here. I don't want to talk down to you. I just want people to understand. I used to hate 3v3 too, and there's a difference in approach that will make it better for you. Probably, I think. Like it made my life way better. Here, let me show you this graphic. It's kind of old, but it checks out. It's an older graphic, but it checks out. So this is old. Obviously, this is like I made it 10 seasons ago or something like that. So like a year ago. But look at I kept track of all my records, and from the very start, once GAC stopped just being GA, for those of you who have been playing for long enough to remember when we just had GA and it wasn't like 12 match seasons. I went 10-2 and made Kyber every single season. Or I went 10-2 or better until we hit 3v3, where I promptly went 9-3. You guys can see that GAC 4 there. GAC 8 then came around. It was 5v5, 5v5, 5v5. Got good records every time, and then 9-3 again. And then a couple seasons later, 8-4. So I went 10-2 every season, except for 3v3. And obviously, it just didn't click with me that much. And then look at 13, 15, and 17. I went 12-0 every season. It wasn't just that I got good RNG. I mean, I'm sure that there's luck involved in everything. Maybe I didn't deserve 12-0 every time, but the fact remains. I mean, look at 11-17. Gosh, that was a good stretch of time for me, wasn't it? But here's the thing, folks. I mean, that style of GAC is done, of course. But I went 12-0 because I changed my perspective. I stopped trying to hammer 3v3 into a 5v5 shape. Like I stopped trying to force it because it requires a different approach. And I want to talk about that approach, guys. I want to help you guys understand how you can do this. And maybe what I'm saying isn't going to help, but I hope you'll give it a listen. So let's turn on just some background. Like you guys can watch my second to most recent 3v3 just in the background. And if you want to just listen podcast style, that's fine. I'm not going to put up any cool infographics or anything after this. We're just going to watch this while I discuss my points here. So, it's podcast style. Or maybe it's Xaereth style. I don't know. One way or another, folks. So 3v3 is different in a lot of ways. I mean, it's uncomfortable. It's not fun. It lets us learn kits in a way that we didn't before. I mean, things such as Jedi Knight Revan and his savior only working sometimes when he's not in the lead, or Padme and her unique being arguably more important than her leadership. And you learn these things in 3v3 because you're forced to do without them. I mean, how many people geared Omega hoping you could use her in a game mode, and in every game mode, or maybe not every game mode, but you're like, well, Bad Batch, you just use Bad Batch. And 3-3s, it's like, sorry, Omega, like, go sit on the bench. It's over there. Like, we'll call you if we're desperate, but like, we're not going to get desperate enough to use you. Like, she's not even Galactic Republic. She's worthless in threes. And so I have my relic for Omega. She just gets to sit on the bench, and that's frustrating, right? I mean, that feels frustrating. We don't get to use the teams that we've constructed, and up until just like a day or two ago, they just finally gave us a Galactic Challenge that we were playing 3v3 in this Galactic Challenge, and it's the first time besides Omega battles that we've ever actually played something that's 3v3. Like, how crazy is that? I mean, we have GAC that we've played 3v3, and they've hinted at doing it for territory wars, like, God forbid, but otherwise, we've never had any 3v3 content in this game. So, I mean, it'd be nice if CG kept doing that a little bit here and there, just so we can plan around our 3v3 teams. But, I mean, that's a little bit beside the point. Like, 3v3 is uncomfortable. We kind of need it, though. I mean, people are burning out like crazy in 5v5. With the new GAC format, everyone's matchmaking. I mean, people complain about matchmaking. I get it. But at the same time, I mean, it's, for the most part, pretty accurate. Like, if you're having tough matches and you're beating everyone anyways, then you're gonna have tougher matches. I think I have not noticed an enormous amount of awfulness to the matchmaking, but that's also beside the point, guys. So, all right, so 3v3, it's different. We have to approach things differently. Let me look at my notes here, guys, because I've got this cool professional legal pad here. It's very, I'm exhausted though, so we've got to make sure I'm making all my points here. So 3v3 is uncomfortable, but we need 3v3, and we can learn through our discomfort. I mean, if we want to just go in kicking and screaming, I mean really, you force your kid to do something that he hates, and how often does he actually, like, sometimes they'll give it an honest shake, but if they're just kicking and screaming the whole time, and you force it on them, like, you're gonna reinforce that they hate it. Like, you have to find some different approach. But if you can actually open them to actually trying it, maybe, that's how I was with skiing. Not that I love skiing, but I hated the idea of doing it till my mom forced me to do it back in the day, and now, I mean, I'm okay. It doesn't totally suck. But here's the thing, guys. Okay, so we have to acknowledge the differences in 3v3. Namely, it's Galactic Legends. That's what it is. I mean, from start to finish, that's the important difference, guys, is 3v3 has overpowered characters that are more overpowered, and that can be frustrating. In 3v3, we don't have the off-meta stuff that we do in 5v5. I mean, it's pretty obvious. We can have a 3-man team against a Galactic Legend who hasn't changed in any substantial way. They're just still crazy overpowered. So the game kind of shifts, guys. So 5v5, I'll throw down 5 Galactic Legends, 4 at the minimum a lot of times on defense, and still have a pretty decent hope of being able to clear. Like, that's just how it is for me. Like, I like to do the off-meta stuff, and 3v3, that doesn't really exist, and that's really where the shift comes from, guys. Like, that's the change, is you can't use off-meta counters, and I know that makes some people sad, some people frustrated. It makes me sad and frustrated as well. So, I mean, whatever though. It's GL versus GL in threes, guys, and that means, however, the approach to setting our defenses, the approach to doing all this stuff changes. Like, we keep most of our Galactic Legends. It becomes this weird balancing act of like, okay, how many can I put down safely? How many GLs can I play safely and still be able to clear my opponent, or at least beat them? Because you don't need to full clear as long as you win, right, guys? And so I know that some of you people are like, well, okay, I have 2 Galactic Legends, and I'm facing people with 6 consistently. And first off, congratulations for punching so far above where you normally are. Like that's awesome. That's what I'm doing with my alt, with Professor X, and it like 3v3 kind of scares me this season. Honestly, I don't know what I'm gonna do because I'm always facing people with 5 or 6 GLs these days. And so, that being said, there's still ways to win, guys. It's not the end of the world. The thing is, if your opponent places so many GLs on defense that you can't clear him, the most likely thing is they aren't going to be able to clear you either. Most likely. Like, you can set such a tough defense down that you can play a half-board game where you can block them. Like, if they want to play their GL advantage, then, I mean, good for them, I guess, but they still have to perform. And a lot of times, if you're outnumbering them, or if they're outnumbering you by such a huge margin, it's usually because they don't understand the game on like a really fundamental level. And if you're watching my channel, I like to think that the people watching this stuff are generally going to be better players than the average. And so, I mean, if you can make it so they can't clear your zone, and you can't clear theirs, then you play a half-board game, and that's kind of miserable. But then, if you don't like 3v3, then you can just be about your merry way. You're like, oh, that was fancy. Like, I made 5 attacks, and now we're done. All right, that was great. We don't have to engage as much. But, I mean, yeah. Well, so there's that. A lot of you guys are in that situation, and I guess one thing I will say, and I don't want to just shove you off to the side and say go play a half-board game. I mean, that's what a lot of us are gonna have to do. You can come hang out with me while I stream my 3v3 on both of my alternate accounts, where I will be outnumbered and outmatched by huge margins every time. And maybe I'll just lose. Maybe we'll just all cry together. But I think I'm going to be able to find ways to win, and maybe we can learn from each other. So coming out with me, watching those, and like on Twitch, you can always access the videos on Twitch after the fact, like a month after. So even if I'm not publishing them to YouTube, you can go to Twitch. That's linked in my video description. There's also a counter sheet, guys, for 3v3, by the way, that's linked in the video description of every video I have. So check that out as well. And then I'm going to put a couple other links in the video description too for you guys to help you along your way. So anyways, let's talk though about this whole approach. If you're roughly approximately equal to your opponent in how many GLs you have, like here's the thing, you need those flexibility, those flexible pieces, those flexible components. So you place your GLs, but you still need a tough defense. The trick to it is, the approach to it now is, it becomes this thing of, okay, how many squads that aren't GLs can I place? And also, how many GLs can I place? How many Galactic Legends? And how many non-GLs? Like, how many really strong A-level teams, like Jedi Knight Luke level teams, General Skywalker, Starkiller, all of that, how many of those can I place and still clear without having to use a GL on my opponent's non-GL teams? Like that becomes the game that you're playing. Like, people want to use their GLs as a crutch, that's fine, but you can trap people. There's a lot of freedom to being able to trap people if you're like, okay, well, I don't think he has something that can beat my Darth Revan. So either he takes a loss and tries to double tap it or something, or maybe maybe they just have to use a GL, in which case you're kind of winning at that point. Like, if you can plan it right, and if you both keep 6 GLs, then I guess you're just going to kill 6 squads, and then the real game begins. Because if you place a tough enough defense, and that's the thing, 3s, I like to say, like, I keep a lot of, my offense is a lot stronger, but in a lot of ways it's weaker than it normally is, because even if I'm keeping a bunch of Galactic Legends, I'm placing so many of my other good characters down that it's like, once we run out of my 5 or 6 Galactic Legends, I still have to clear 10 squads, and I don't have any A-level teams to do that with. Or maybe I have some, but that's the joy of it, in my opinion, guys, is the off-meta becomes countering things that aren't Galactic Legends. You start using things like BAM and, BAM Han Chewie to counter General Skywalker, and that works. I'm going to be trying to use a team with Landino to counter something very specific. You guys will have to stay tuned for that. I just got him Relic 8. It's kind of fun, and we'll see if that's actually going to help me counter the things that I'm trying to counter. But, that's the joy of 3v3, in my opinion, is trying to find the off-meta counters for the teams that are really tough to beat. It's the Galactic Legends just kind of cancel each other out. It's like, okay, I have Ray, you have Ray on defense. We'll just delete each other. That's fine. That's great. And then there's enough teams, though, that you get to place that are beyond Galactic Legends. The most you can kill is 6. There's still going to be 9 teams you have to clear. Your opponent has to clear. And whatever they've placed is part of the equation. And so, anyways, folks, I've yammered for a while just to say, keep your Galactic Legends for offense. But that's the shift, guys. Instead of placing 5 Galactic Legends on defense like I do in 5s, I'm going to keep 5 for offense. And then, if they place a bunch of GLs, I can still clear. And then, because GL counters against each other are pretty consistent as long as you know how to do them, which the counter sheet will show you how to do. I'm sure if you go to the Discord server, you can get help. I'm sure people want to talk 3v3. They want to talk the game. Go check that out. It's in the video description as well. But one way or another, guys, trying to find these weird off meta counters. Like, look, I'm using in this video, I'm using Bam versus a Mon Mothma team. I don't know. It just gets pretty weird. I don't even know if it pans out for me. Probably. But trying to find these counters to some of these teams, it can be a little bit tricky and problematic. So we got to pool our resources, got to figure these things out, and I don't know. It's a lot of fun, guys. Keep your GLs. They're the most flexible units you have. They're the most flexible possible. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to try to beat these teams, though, without using GLs. And that's some of the most enjoyable gameplay, in my opinion, is once you kind of like just delete the Galactic Legends from consideration. You're like, okay, you've placed 5 Galactic Legends. That was obnoxious as hell, but okay, you placed them. I just used my 5 to delete your 5. Now, what does the game look like? It's 10 now. Now we're playing 10 teams versus 10 teams, and we're good to go. You can be efficient with GL versus GL. You really can. So, all right, I'm gonna stop beating that dead horse, guys. So, I think it's fun. Who blinks first? Who blinks first? You both place a board with no Galactic Legends, but you place a bunch of A-level teams. Who is the first one to use a Galactic Legend on one of those A-level teams? Are they screwing themselves for whatever you placed in the back zone? That's the ultimate thing, guys. So, real quick, I do want to just tell you a couple characters to be working on if you want to do off-meta stuff. Let's go look at that real quick, and then I'll get you out of here. So, first off, work on Fennec. This Fennec lead team with Bando and Grief can take out Lord Vader, or at least some Lord Vader builds. That's preliminary testing so far, but it's shown a lot of promise, so we'll be working on this team. This Jedi Revan team with Jedi Luke and armor is built so that you can beat Supreme Leader Kylo teams, which you can't beat all Supreme Leader Kylo teams, but as long as you can get 3 stacks of Beskar from armor onto Jedi Knight Luke, then he's going to be basically invincible versus Supreme Leader Kylo. And if he leeches all of your accuracy, then that's one thing. You're gonna time out against him. But one way or another, Jedi Knight Luke is like, he can solo that team. Well, once his crutches are dead and everything. And then finally, guys, so work on that team. Work on these characters. You do need relics on armor, otherwise you're gonna die from a swipe from Supreme Leader Kylo, and then you're gonna get sad. And then finally, Wampa. It kills, limited numbers of things, but Wampa does kill, like, it can finish off Galactic Legends pretty well, some of them, and he also kills most Sith Eternal teams that don't have, like, Malak on them. So you know, if you want to do off-meta stuff, there are options available. There's just not that many. So, what are your thoughts, guys? Do you like this style of play? You're just going to throw all your GLs on defense? You're going to keep them for offense and place your A-level stuff instead? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.